Hello and welcome to another session of Mountain Home from Fallen Halls. This is the second session of our second arc of this Forged in the Dark game of Dwarven settlement building. My name is Lowell, pronouns he, him. I hope that if you're watching this, maybe you've watched or listened to the other uh, episodes in the series. But just as a regular reminder, we have a layered set of safety tools that we are using: lines and veils, X card, open door. Those things are in our keeper. So you may, there's a chance you may hear us talk about that. Last time, we hit the end of the year and did that whole end of the year settlement phase with one major exception, and that is the trade phase for things. And we're going to resolve that, and then we're going to roll into the next year. And I've already kind of rolled the entanglements on that and gotten that figured out. And I'll talk about what's going on with the different factions. Now, we are going to go into the trade phase. Your trade has not yet been pinched by the Chironic duchy, but it will be. Just so you know, that is coming. But let us look at that. So you're not at war with everyone. You are leveraging the active trade deal, so you get an extra die. So how many dice are you generating for this first trade roll?
Our
Um,
Ironworks gives us two.
2 dice. We've got a bakery and a farm that don't give any. A brewery that could give one.
I
A
think the
jewel
brewery's been
crafter that
used.
could give one.
Our brewery's been used.
Oh, yes, it has. Sorry.
Bakery could.
So how many dice do you want to use on this first trade roll? Go ahead and
Why
mark
don't
them and tell me how many you're using.
Why don't we use three, and then we could do a second trade roll using our lava forge, rolling with the just fortune die. I suppose would be what we'd have.
3 from where?
We have one that comes automatically and two from the ironworks.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
you have
kiln
to
can produce.
generate at least
Well,
one trade good to make a trade roll, though. Just to tell you that. So
it talks about you if you generate the 0, you can do the
Just the
disadvantage.
fortune
oh, okay.
roll.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
But we still have to mark something that would give us a 0 trade, which we have
Right.
all those level 1 buildings, which will give a 0 trade.
So
Yeah.
so I heard 3 dice added to the extra die. So that's somebody's rolling a 4 die roll for me.
I think it's 2 dice added to the extra die.
Okay, so somebody's rolling a 3 die roll for me. Tyler?
Alrighty. Oh, me? Okay. All right. Come on, roll well. 6.
So that is going to be 3 treasure.
Okay. Um, we could go ahead and add the. Oh, we're full though, aren't we?
Yeah, that takes us up to full treasure.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we might as well just hold.
Okay. So do you wish to spend that treasure, take yourself down to 0, uh, and reset your reputation clock to take your hold from weak to strong?
Yeah, and we have to dedicate that farm.
Yep. So clear your treasure, clear your reputation. There was one extra reputation left over, wasn't there? A carryover, Tyler?
There was.
Okay, so
Since we got it done here immediately.
So I will go ahead and take you down to 1.
We didn't get to use our gym unless Lowell, with our treasury empty, would we get to use our gem mine to produce our one?
Uh, I think given what you've done so far, I think that probably covers that.
Cool.
So let's talk about where you're at. Dagro, you wanted to say something?
Just that I had finished the special clock thing, and we talked about that we would discuss that. I don't know what it does, except um, essentially is a potential thing or what. I'm not sure.
So at the break, I will come and bring you the pages that have the discussion of different crops.
I saw those.
Oh, okay. So was there anything amongst those that was interesting to you?
There was, I kind of, I liked a variation on one of them.
Okay. So
Okay.
what is that?
It's a sort of grain, a wheat grain, kind of like spelt, and it's called dreaming wheat or whatever. Essentially, what it is after you've eaten something made with it, you dream of its like of the fields it was raised in. So essentially, it like cancels out bad dreams, but you dream the dream of what the wheat saw, the sun above it, the breezes coming through, maybe the moon and the constellations at night, that kind of thing.
Okay. Yeah. Kind of a therapeutic nightmare curing. I like that. Yeah, that seems reasonable to me.
Okay. I mean, it's not too overpowered. It's kind of an interesting idea.
Oh my God, the open sky.
Exactly. That was the other funny thing about it. So,
I want to go around.
Just real quick before we get out of this phase, I would like to click that we're using the bakery so it's available when we get to expedition.
Okay. So why don't we reset all the buildings except for the bakery. Well, those are all been used. Let's go ahead and clear those for essentially for the next year. Except for the ones that are dedicated, of course. And what I want to do is go around and I want to have each of you give me a scene, tell me something about either something you're doing or something we see being done that shows us that you've moved from, you've had these growing pains, you've expanded the settlement, you had things were chaotic, but now they're not. This is stronghold. So let's start with so I think I started with Tom last time. So Grunheld, let's start with you.
Hey. I think we see a kind of like a camera traveling, through the home sort of scene. And I think up until now, it's always when we've looked at the place, there's always this look of everything is still being worked on. There's, we kind of had saw that place where new people were coming in. Everything seemed like it was in the process of being built, under construction-y feel. But I think as we're moving through now, there's a much more homey feel. People are in the midst of their industry. And I think we kind of pass, through the interior and kind of up to the exterior, where we see kind of, I think for Grunheld, she's up on the side of the mountain near, at the hills and kind of looking there at the farms as they are generating their things and bringing in a harvest. And there's just this kind of satisfied, at least for now, things feel settled.
We've got some money for some drone shots. So we get like lots of nice, steady pullback, sweeping shots That's kind of beautifully steady. I was just watching a show from the 90s that had a crane shot, and you could tell because it has a little bit of vibration, but new shots have nice clean things to get the movement across there. Tolan, what's a thing that you want to show that what we see either with yourself or with other people here?
I think like we get the shot of what's happening, on the mountain, and then in the mountain, you see those moles like pulling carts where like before you'd see a bunch of dwarves dragging things along. They've got the moles hitched up to mining carts basically, and like actually extracting things from the clay pit and then taking them somewhere and making things out of the clay. It's not like building this thing in order to do this. It's like now these new buildings and these new areas are, you see people actually taking things out of them and taking them to the workshop next to it and putting things together.
Excellent. I like that. Like, yeah, all of the things that we've seen in pieces assembled and their operations that have been hinted at before, now present. Dagriel, what's another thing that we see here in this process?
I think probably see the first thing of groups of dwarves going a little deeper down and starting to mark out areas where housing's going to be built. Like they're actually going, okay, and they come back with like chits and things, and clearly there's going to be a thing of where the different families or groups kind of like draw for what they get or trade or something to get a place on this next settlement quarter that we're getting ready to set. But get that thing of that we're starting to expand that as opposed to staying kind of all crowded and up there in the early parts of the earthy caves. Yeah. Yes, exactly.
Dagriel's mega block.
Yeah, exactly.
Dagriel Towers. I like it.
Very scenic.
Dazin, what about you? What do you want to show us?
I think around the brewery, especially because that's where many of the squirrel monkey attack things were. But I imagine there were attacks and problems with them elsewhere elsewhere in the colony as well. So we see stonemasons and earth singers out there smoothing out the destruction, the gouges in the stone, the nicks and things in the freshly built buildings that we have here in the settlement. And I think as time goes forward, we see like these little runic charms, which I don't know what the visual element would be, but I think it's like a mixture of the traditional dwarven magic and a little bit of stuff from those humans, with some of their like spirit charms that they taught us over the time here. But we see those sort of like proliferating, and people like hanging them outside their homes and outside shops, and we see by the time like spring rolls around the next year, there's some woman out like sweeping the sidewalk in front of her shop, getting ready to open in the morning, and a little horde of those squirrel monkeys that have been such a menace comes up, and she just like taps the rune on the side of the building and it glows a little brighter, and they sort of cringe from it, and then she just gets her broom and starts, get out of here, go on, go, shoot. And we see like these things have just become a pest, an annoyance, a thing that we have a way to deal with, and we're sort of moving past the attacks and trauma of it, sort of thing.
Excellent. Let's talk as you move forward into this next year about what the situation is with the other factions. We'll talk about entanglements later, but I want to talk about the faction things, and then I want to come around and have each of you call a scene. By the way, you may hear those sounds in the background because there are no leaves on the trees, and because everybody has decided they need to be riding their motorcycle around. You will hear that as it passes from Sherry's mic to mine. So I apologize. The Quranic Duchy continues progress on their control of trade. They are past halfway on building that up. The Ashclaw sisters, they had moved to that new location, and what they are currently working on, those knolls, is increasing the size of their settlement. Like you, they are working to increase their tier size. The same thing is happening with the elves. You know, the elves have agents now amongst the gnomes, or have some things arrayed on that may be character knowledge, sorry, player knowledge rather than character knowledge, but definitely the elves are now turning to trying to strengthen their numbers. And the Tengu have increased their size. They completed that last time, so they have moved up to tier 2 with weak hold. And the human spellcasters have also completed their growth. So they have moved from weak hold to stronghold there with tier 3. And then the necromancer gnomes have completed their dark ritual.
That's not good.
Which you suspect is what called that dragon. People will tell you that people who have gone near there, that there is a foul odor that comes up from the ruins, the pit underneath it where this thing has gone. No one has seen it yet. It has not flown out yet, but that's the general talk, is that there is a unholy dragon there. And yes, the gnomes are jerks. I will grant you that. So we are here in this next year. Let's do those scenes before we talk about the entanglements that have been rolled for this year and talk about what expeditions might come across. So in that same order, Grunheld, as we go into this year, what scene would you like to call with a fellow PC or an NPC or what?
I think it's going to be with Dagriel. I'm feeling better, so I think that I'm finally venturing out after my long convalescence. And I will come and find you at whichever of the place, your libraries you happen to be.
Probably. It seems like I would be in the Centaur Library right now, since we've just been collecting all that information on the factions and things like that. So we're going through that and figuring out how we're going to look into the matters that need looking into.
Excellent. That's perfect. Dagriel, if you don't mind.
I never mind. I am always glad to see you. Won't you have some tea?
Thank you. I always like a nice cuppa.
She goes, I have the bramble mint today. It's my favorite, but I can do one of the green leaves if you would prefer.
I am perfectly happy to have whatever you're having.
All right then. And you'll get one of those cups of this sort of mint on mint tea that is Dagriel's preferred.
I will sip rather than drink heavily. I was wanting to discuss with you that obviously you've heard that there may be, well, that there's definitely a dragon in the environs.
Foul beast of some sort.
Yes. Along with that, our trade is considerably under threat.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these problems are on our very doorstep. I was intending to spend a little time at the Merchant's Inn, the Guarded Hearth, and see if perhaps I could get a little more information about the Centaur's motives, activities, and maybe find out who is best to speak to about a trade agreement. That does leave for your scholars and you finding out more about this dragon, I would think. Unless you have something you are already deep in study on.
I guess we could go and pull straws. That's fine. Yes, we'll do that.
All I know is the legends of dragons, and they are said to be fearsome and horrible, and I don't know. Do you think it's something we could talk to?
If summoned by the gnomes, it's either uncertain. I would not be the expert. We will, of course, consult our books, but I will admit, though dragons are storied beings, our library may be a little light on such things, but particularly these unholy, undead, foul creatures. Those would not be the chosen neighbors of a dwarf, typically.
We may have to drive it away or destroy it.
Yes, those two things are, I would think, a very rosy outlook of our options. And I will do my utmost, Grunheld, to fuel a success towards one of those endeavors.
I have complete faith in you and your scholars.
Mm-hmm. So if I pass in this, all the things that are named Dagriel, you should go and add memorial to it if it's not already there. If I pass in the carrying out of this thing, okay? That is all that I ask of you, Brunhild.
I would hope that you would put yourself in danger in your studies, but I assure you that that will be the case, and we will even raise a great plinth in memory of the wise Dagriel.
I may pre-design it. I have some thoughts on that.
I am certain you do.
Excellent. Yeah, we will look into this.
It will be a cenotaph, or however you say that. I will point out that there already is a Dagger Memorial Infirmary.
I know. That's why I added if it isn't already in the name.
Tolan, what scene would you like to call?
Yeah, there are so many possibilities for people to talk to about this whole dragon issue. But I think it makes sense to talk to the people who fly and see what they have seen of this other creature that flies. So yeah, I'm gonna go see the Tengu, and I'm going to mention that that I plan to do this. So if anyone else would like to come along,
Little green hand comes up too.
Yeah.
Almost as pleasingly, Dagriel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Dagriel wanted to. Yeah, this is where I'm starting with the studying. So they fly. Chances are they've seen more than everyone else has. So yeah, it's.
Well, I'll come along, I guess. Since the humans left, I've found I've missed the ridiculous sound of outright heresy all the time.
So your group will traipse up on the outside of the mountain, heading upwards. I think
Yeah,
that
I think we discussed making a secret stairway, like one that, you know, we could
Mhm,
hide
that would be a good
easily.
idea.
We wouldn't want to make it easy for people to get up to them if we
We
could.
could make the secret stairway inside the mountain so that we could make this journey without all of the, you know, weather.
Oh,
Very tall.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Though building up is notoriously difficult. But if you're up for making the scaffolds, Dawson,
We could start at the top and tunnel down.
ooh, that means someone
I
would
mean,
have to camp
let's
up
ask
there
the
with
Tengu
the
how they feel about
Tengu.
that. But
Yeah. Do they want a big hole right where they are? This is always a good question.
so you will head up on the outside of the mountain. This is maybe a month or two into the year. It's a little cool out. There is still, some snow on the paths here, so you have to be a little more careful. But you will reach Rengzu's uh, encampment, his yurt, as it were, rather, and he will be pleased to see you. You will notice as you go in that there are a number of dwarven goods here that he has off to the side, including a cask of what you're guessing is some of your finest ale off there. These are not things that you brought to him.
Oh, interesting.
And he greetings, greetings, Dagriel, Lady Fishbanina, Tolan, and of course, Master Runejaw.
It's good to see that you're finally stocking real drinks.
Well, they were gifts.
Well, then blessed are you.
I think that the giver had some ulterior motives, but I appreciate that.
Well, of
Who's
course,
gifting you with our beer?
Master Emberstone has come up here several times to speak with me over the last several months.
Have they?
Yes, they have.
All this, what do you call it? Precipitation? It's bad for breathing.
The air is a bit crisp, but please sit down. I have some cha and tea that I have prepared. A good draft of that will clear out your throat.
How kind.
So you come in here, the major expedition with three of the founders and an honored scholar as well. So what pray tell do I owe the honor to? And we'll kind of look at you, Tolan, like he knows that maybe you led this.
I mean, it involved dwarves climbing mountains. Usually, Tolan is responsible for when that happens. So, we've heard that there has been a dragon around here, and we were wondering if you had seen any. We don't see much of the air from inside the mountain.
And besides, it's probably a evil gnomish rumor anyways.
So is it a thing or not a thing, Dawson? You seem to be skeptical already before we even begin talking.
I mean, it's just a ridiculous thing. A dragon in our mountain. That can't be real.
there is a dragon there, Dawson.
It
You can smell it. It's palpable.
What I know, I will tell you, but I must ask that you not ask me how I know this.
None of our business.
Why can't we ask you how you know this?
We can't ask that either, I don't think.
Well, he didn't say we couldn't.
Because I've said to you that you cannot ask me how I know this.
Oh,
What's the why of this?
He's too good at this.
Don't think I am, but there we are. It is not. There are many kinds of dragons in this world. There are dragons who are powerful creatures, slivers of the divine and the magical that have existed. Many of them died in the wars in heaven. If there are any of these ancient ones remaining, it is not anything I know of. The dragons that remain are beasts. They are creatures that are smart, but they are still beasts. This one is undead. It is called Halvazak. And it is a creature of pollution and decay. And it was called here by the gnomes.
What would they want with?
What would they want? What would the gnomish necromancers want with an undead dragon?
Do they hope to control it?
That was where wouldn't it be a danger to them too?
I do not know beyond that what their intentions are, how much control they have over it already. It is my impression from, and you see him stop. It is my impression that it coming here took some of its energy. Dragons are creatures of sleep and destruction. Those are the two states that they move between. And they slumber to recover their strength and their inertia, and then they awaken to do what they do.
So, are you saying this dragon traveled here from somewhere else? The gnomes didn't make it?
Yes.
And it's likely to be weakened right now?
It was weakened when it arrived months ago, yes.
Oh God, I'm sorry, I have no sense of time in this game sometimes. I apologize.
So it's only going to get stronger. If we're going to do something about it, probably should do that soon.
Keep in mind that these dragons do operate on a different scale of time. So when I say
Yes.
sleep or a nap, it may be some time before it will act, but I do not know what the gnome's interaction with that is or anything. But it has a den, and though I have heard of the crusade that you and your human allies made into the depths, I would be very careful about bearding this dragon in its den. I will endeavor to find out more in a way that does not pose a risk to me.
Thank you.
Told.
That seems wise. We'll share any information we find out about it too.
That would be appreciated. We are up here, but a truly maddened dragon attack will cause devastation throughout. Here's the thing I would say is you may not be the threat that the gnomes are preparing for.
No, it seems that if they wanted to fight us, a dragon would probably not be. Not that it can't cause us a tremendous amount of damage, but
Yes. No, more tea.
Yes, please. This is quite delicious.
Yes.
And
Good.
I just was going to offer him some bramble mint tea.
Okay.
So this-
And he will ply you with some more tea before you depart.
So, hypothetically speaking, if you had a brother and I asked him where you learned about the dragons from, what would he say?
He would say that my brother has not told me anything.
Gonna figure this riddle out.
It's not really a riddle, but
Oh, you can't dissuade me that easily.
He's heard nothing of this conversation.
it's not like one of those Knowlish jokes, okay? It's not quite like that. Let's come to, then after you return back, let's come to Dogriel.
Let's see here. I think ooh. I think I actually go to talk to Dawson.
Okay.
I'm like, Dawson, I know that you were working on something that was like another version of your clay self.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes, I've made some progress. Do you want to see?
Sure. But what I was wondering is would it be possible to make maybe small, subtle versions of this? Like maybe dolls like so high?
But little tiny ones.
Yes. Like more so that you can see through their eyes.
Why would you want to be so small?
So that you go unnoticed. I mean, it seems that if you were thinking of it that other people could control them, it would probably be a good way to learn to control a larger one is to start with a small one, right? I would be happy to prototype that.
Well, it's strange. I suppose you could make it. I mean, it would be very weak, you understand.
Exactly. They'd be doing no useful punching.
And it couldn't run very far.
Not particularly, no.
All right.
But it could go places that, for instance, I could not or would not wish to.
Where are you wanting to go?
Oh. There is a certain threat that sits not on our doorstep, thank goodness, but not that far away and deep down in the depths. I don't wish to march inside the dungeon, the dragon's lair, but perhaps I could send a smaller set of eyes.
Maybe. I have to think on that. If you wanted it to be unnoticed, I suppose we could make it something darker.
Yes. That sounds excellent. I mean, my name is Onyx Blood. I like a good, strong, dark blackstone. I have.
Hmm.
But black clay, that would do as well.
Maybe a coating baked on the outside of it.
That's a good idea. Something very matte black so it wouldn't catch a lot of light, right?
All right.
Probably have to be something that would be pretty good at rewriting itself, like if it falls over. So, our candy shell, yes, exactly.
Maybe if it wasn't a dwarf body, then maybe something else that would be more appropriate to be that small. Then no one would make more small jokes about dwarves. It's a real problem culturally speaking.
Is it? I hadn't noticed.
The humans were very mean, snickering when they thought we couldn't hear them.
Well, I was always listening to them so they didn't snicker around me.
I saw them. They were laughing amongst themselves. What else would they be laughing about?
It is hard to know, Dawson. It is hard to know. Your argument is persuasive. So what other form do you think would work?
Well, actually,
yeah,
those squirrel monkeys were pretty agile and good at getting around.
Yeah, they are. Do you think you could make a form that was like that?
I could. Then you'd have to learn how to use a tail. Oh, that'd be interesting.
It would probably take a lot of practice.
Let me make some plans.
Okay. I can get you some diagrams and illustrations of said spider monkeys.
Oh, yes, that would help.
All right. Coming at you.
Let's cut to Dawson. What would you like for your scene?
Sorry, that sort of tied into where I was going, so...
Okay.
I'm not sure. I guess that sort of did what I was looking to do.
Sure. Why don't we do this? We'll kind of take our break. We'll come back. We'll roll through some things, and if there's a scene you want to call at that point,
Okay.
you can do that. So we haven't lost that opportunity, but we'll kind of put it off to the side for a little bit. But let's take our first break. Let's take 10 here, and then we'll continue on. So I forgot to mention this at the top of the show. For anybody who for both people who are watching this, who are players, if you enjoy this content, I have a Patreon. You can find about the Patreon in the show notes. There's my pitch, which I will be doing from now on. So we return back to the gathering the founders, the things you kind of over the first few months of the year, news trickles in about what's going on with the different factions. And one of the things that will occur is Trillian will arrive in spring, and he will say, they have seized the bridge and the trade lines, and they are holding control of that. If nothing is done, we're going to have a hit to our trade this year. Now, I don't know what the cost is going to be to dealing with that, but that's just something that you should be aware of. My founders. Sorry, my Thane and my founders. They are being imperialistically polite about it, but it's clear what's going on. So be aware of that. The other thing that you will hear is that sort of at the gathering of these founders, there is a person who begs audience from the Council of Founders. And this has been a typical thing you could do. And you will see Emberstone, part of the Moray Assembly, comes in, arrives along with a number of his entourage. And he will say, my Thane, my founders, I have prepared a great working that I am in the finishing stages of. That the preliminary contacts have been august and strong. One of my ancestors, Rycarain Emberstone, was a hero of Carrick Minor generations before it fell. His is a powerful old spirit, and I have been able to make contact with him. And he is a spirit of a line, powerful spirit. And when the mid-year comes, I will be able to contact and call him up. If there are queries, advice, inquiries, any of those things that you wish to make to the spirit when I call it up, we should have those prepared. And this is a serious matter. Like he's clearly spent some time. It's not just calling up a simple ancestor spirit. He's calling up somebody big. He's clearly done some work. And he's clearly been doing this behind your back, Dawson, for quite a while.
Well, I mean, is it really safe to be using untested and secretive rituals on such venerated ancestors? Surely you'd want to test that sort of thing. Run it by a committee. Maybe start with a lesser spirit, a beloved family cat.
If you do not want me to bring this benefice to Carrick Minor, I will stop my work.
I'm
It's
simply
a trap.
looking out for the good of the settlement.
I think it is very impressive that you have done this work. Dagriel, I'm sure.
I have questions aplenty.
Yes, I would say it is a selfish thing, but that I have called on a spirit of my own ancestral line, but I have done this with my own resources outside of the guild, as I did not want to expend those in an endeavor that might prove fruitless. But I think that it will be a great benefit to the settlement as a whole.
Well, we can do nothing but applaud your initiative.
Thank you, my Thane.
And as I say, Dagriel, I'm sure you would wish to learn as much as possible from this venerated ancestor.
Yes. Where do you plan on summoning them?
I had thought to summon it at the temple that Master Dawson has carefully created and prepared for this kind of thing. While I have been working elsewhere in communion with the mountain, I'm sure that the aspects and the work that has been done on the temple will make it a most auspicious place to do this.
Interesting. I wonder then if it might be worthwhile to, how do you say, locate the old roads in that way so that we might orient the spirit then when they come? So that if any inquiries about the settlement as a whole, they will have an easier time speaking to where they might be or what their nature is.
I will say this, it says, I had thought of something as a kid. The part of the reason why I thought the temple would be a good place is it is built on a previous temple, and it is built in a place that clearly had significance for them there. The gem clusters of the brilliant facets of Dagriel there.
Yes, excellent. It is a lovely, lovely place. A good place for the soul to come back to, I think. And sort of stops and says, very well, I do have a good many questions. But she does turn and say, it was a very good site that you chose, Dawson.
For a temple, certainly, but think of the dangers of an untested ritual, not just on a venerated ancestor, but did you say including the spirit of the mountain in your workings? Who knows what could happen of these sorts of things?
Well, it's a fine question, and we'll be able to find out.
It would be more dangerous to do it without the mountain.
Yes.
And I presume doesn't, Mr. Master Emberstone, I presume you will have others of the Moray as well as Master Dawson present to
gestures to the people behind him. Yes.
Well, there could be few greater safeguards than your presence, Master Dawson, as well as your guild.
That is a point that is hard to argue with.
Thank you.
I worked hard. I consulted with many, including Master Rengzu on the mountain to gain his insight, as you have before me.
Sensible.
How thorough you have been in expending the mountain's resources for this project.
Yeah.
As you say, Master Roomjaw.
Dagriel, would you mind overseeing the collection of questions, inquiries from amongst our peoples?
Absolutely. I think it'll be more a task of winnowing them down. We don't want to exhaust the spirit. Oh, so much to ask them.
And let me pause here to go to the meta. So this is an event. This is a mountain event, and it is an ancestral contact. And basically, it allows you the opportunity to put questions, to gather information rolls with this spirit here. And so that opportunity, whenever we want to enact that, we'll do that scene, and we can get information of various kinds.
Great. We're going to ask the question, Meta, what sort of resource of ours is it using up? Downtime actions, settlement phase,
None.
an expedition? What?
None. This is just an event. This
Oh,
is kind of an
really?
entanglement event. There's no actual expedition required for it. It is just a kind of a beneficial thing that has occurred. Of course, it is all to the glory of Master Emberstone.
Ah, yes.
I don't know if we should be having people just putting their names willy-nilly on things.
Well, he's going to have to hurry if he wants his name on anything. I'll tell you that.
If you miss an opportunity, you miss an opportunity. What can I say?
So those are the things that are out there for the year. We should probably talk about expedition bracket S that you wish to do this year. I think there was quite a bit of recovery last year, so I think people are in decent shape. A little down still. Oh, actually, I take that back. I apologize. No, you guys are all still messed up. And so probably a single expedition is probably what we're looking at this year. So we should probably talk about what that is, what you want to do.
I would propose that one of our great dangers is our trade routes. Advice that we've received and our lack of knowledge ourselves means that the dragon would perhaps be a foolish thing to try and take on too much of at this moment. That might be an opportunity when we reach downtime to investigate, but for expedition purposes, I would say I'll pitch out that maybe going and trying to deploy them with the centaurs is an option. Anyone else have thoughts on what we might want to do?
Is there an option for alternative routes? Ones that they don't have control of?
That could be an expedition to go and see if there's a workaround.
Yeah. Yes.
I think we're not prepared to deal with the dragon at the moment. You're right. We need more information on that. If we were to do an expedition involving the dragon, it would be to learn more about it. And we also have the trade routes. Either finding a way around or dealing with the centaurs seems like not necessarily the more immediate problem, but the problem we're prepared to deal with.
Dodson, thoughts?
This isn't going to involve more overland travel, is it?
It almost certainly will mean we will have to send an embassy to speak with the centaurs.
Unless you plan to dig a tunnel all the way past under the bridge.
Now,
or we could...
Thinking about, we could start an entire underground tunnel network of roads, passages, long-term travel, so that we would never have to be out in the precipitation ever again.
Yeah.
Well, we do have those automated things that could start the tunnel digging, but we would still have to have engineers laying out the path. So
take a long time. Don't.
Don't be sensible. You know, we all
set them to work on.
I'm simply indulging myself that does not wish to cede anything to the centaurs who have been wholly useless. Now, if they came and took care of the dragon, then sure. But my guess is they will not be the ones doing that.
Yes, and I fear any assistance will come with a very high price.
Well, as Ringsu said, we don't actually know who the the gnomes plan to aim the dragon at. It could be the centaurs, it could be the humans, it could be the gnolls, any of these groups.
I presume y'all told me about them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, of
I'm
course,
sure.
of course. Of course, Thane. We would have given you a full briefing on our discussions.
You're right, Olin. And then we really don't know where it'll be focused. I fear for our allies, however, they have been the ones who have been preyed upon most by the gnomes. Or the gnomes.
Yes. But it seems like a bit much to bring in a dragon to handle that.
It does. Well,
Yeah.
I think it sounds like trade is at least foremost on our mind. The question comes in, do we wish to find a way to avoid dealing with the centaurs at all? An alternate route, a means of circumventing their established trade blockage? Or do we wish to try and diplome in a way that maybe get us favorable trade through their areas?
Yeah, so that means looking at a map for the first answer on that, if that makes any sense. And I thought we had one.
You do.
Yes.
And one of the things you know is they have taken that choke point that is the big crossing for the river that goes through there, moving around to another location is a significant delay, like in terms of how far you have to go out of your way to do that, as well as still requiring the establishment or rebuilding of some kind of bridge in one of those areas.
Do we have an actual map, or do we just...
No.
Right, okay.
Meta, you guys have a map.
Right.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I was hoping we had an actual map. Okay, in the sense of that we could go, oh, well, maybe here, but
So the expedition would be searching for a route that would go around them, or the expedition would be talking to them.
Right.
Personally, I'm open to either one of those suggestions. Does anyone have strong feelings one way or the other? If I were to be asked completely, it falls more in my purview to go diplomacy. But I'm not going to fight strongly if there is someone who is really interested in exploring.
I mean, in character, I'd probably be looking for the alternate route, but again, kind of in the same vein. Like either sounds interesting.
yeah, Dagriel very much resents their uselessness and their interference in the situation. They've created no value add and only prices to be paid. This to Dagriel is the sign of a pest, not a ally. But we could, I don't know. I suppose we need to keep the lines open so we could do a deal for the time being and then look around to see if we have something that we could do that would solve that problem. I mean, the roots of the mountain go deep, so there may be passages and the like that we could make use of once we get deeper. But
something you can ask an ancient ancestor, sort of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Dawson, any thoughts?
Loath to talk to more people, especially sun-diluted surface dwellers. But if they are expensive, if they are aggressive, if they are militaristic, then maybe we could make some use of that. Dagriel, you bemoan that they do nothing of worth for the annoyance that they impose. Perhaps, Grunheld, you could talk them into something where they're a bit more responsible for what's going on around here if they're going to be taxing or getting in the way of things. Might not
It
be
could
so
certainly be a-
burdensome if we were getting something out of the deal.
It could certainly be a part of the discussion, yes.
And then they would be our
Hmm.
employees,
Then
and
we-
then we wouldn't have to go talk to them anymore, and it would be done.
Then we are in agreement, an embassy to speak with the centaurs.
I suppose.
All right.
Right.
So we will see you all gather yourselves together kind of once spring is broken, once the roads are open and travel is clear. And we will assume that you will send messengers ahead to arrange for a meeting. Why don't you make a host roll, Grunheld, to kind of set the stage to want to see kind of what their reaction is. Now, this is desperate standard effect because you are at -1 relationship to them.
All right. Can I use my correspondence kit to take that down from desperate?
Yes, you can take it to risky standard if you mark that by.
I will do so. All right. Rolling with 4 dice because I took up my host. Fives.
So they will agree to meet you. They set the date. They set the place at a location close by that fortress that they are in the process of rebuilding. And you kind of they're willing, but you can tell that you haven't like opened things up as much as you would like in that. Do you want to resist that? Resist that reduced effect.
Oh.
I will resist for them. I will have
thank you.
given you essentially a set of old letters from sort of previous diplomats with the centaurs that give you an example of how you might speak to them, where you are, how should we say, honorably groveling in the way that they particularly like.
So that's resist with resolve, and mark an XP under resolve.
Okay. I got like 8 copies of the sheet, and so okay. So I'm gonna mark an XP, and I'm rolling 2d6 too.
Yep.
Okay. Dice roller. Sorry. It's like I open them and then they disappear on me. Okay, 2d6. I got a 5.
That costs you 1 stress.
Okay. It just it throws my organization of my library
set
and
the time, they set the place, but they will tell you that they will be sending the Lord Commander of the area to meet with you. Like they make it clear they are sending someone significant to meet with you. They're not just having whoever's in charge of the fort talk to you.
Good.
And then you will gather yourselves together and you will go to make that journey. It is spring, so it is wet weather. There's a chance of washouts and floods and things like that. It is still a distance that you have to cover. So who wishes to do the journey roll to lead that? And I'm assuming but that's gonna be my default assumption, is that someone will lead the journey roll. That's how I'm gonna approach things from now on. Who wants to do it this time? There's an XP in it for you.
I can do it. I've got
Okay.
plenty of stress to spare.
Okay. So Tolan, let's have you go ahead and start with the journey roll, and then we'll go around and have everybody else make theirs.
It's a 3. So
That is a
starting
3.
off well.
So okay, so that's 1 stress. Grunheld? That's a 2nd stress. Highest is a 3 so far. Dawson?
So I am gonna bring the scouts along with us and mark 1 for that.
Okay.
But given that I am so high in stress this year, I don't really have the stress to mark my effigy body and use that up this year. And so I think as we leave the mountain, Dawson is just laden down. Like, he is wearing too much armor. He's also wearing a like thickly oiled sort of Holocaust cloak, like riding coat thing. He's got this wide brimmed and with a little bit of a like sun blocking veil hat. He's constantly stopping to apply this ground stone cream to all of his skin. He's got a giant umbrella, goes like 3 feet out further on either side than it needs to be, that he can't fit between trees and stuff a lot of the time, that he insists on carrying whether it's raining or not to keep the evil. Like, he is awful this whole time. He hates this big dark sunglasses. All of this is the worst. It's so wet.
That seems more than fair. Let's have you roll with that extra die.
Well, I got 4s.
So that's a mixed success. That's the highest so far.
Cursed jungle expedition.
I guess that leaves me with my
does.
1d6. It's a 5.
So the highest is a mixed success. So marking a total of 2 stress. Let's see how we want to do this. Let me consider. I think that you will hit some traffic, some weather and such, that it ends up soaking you, putting you off your game, as it were, muddying your clothing, so that when you arrive, you are going to look bedraggled unless someone wants to resist that.
I will resist it, just because I've traveled enough with Brownthorn Thistle that I kind of have a sense of some of the things you could do real quick to get yourself cleaned up after rains and splashes. So this is a prowess.
That seems right for me. Yeah.
So that's 3d6 for me for resistance. So let's see how this goes. A 2, 2, and a 4. So I take 2 stress.
Yes.
All right. And since you get out the sort of soft bristle brush and essentially brush everyone's leather down so that the mud is mostly off, or at least blended in, and polish up the steel.
So you will arrive at this crossroads city. You've got the village that was there by the bridge, that has kind of been taken over. It has expanded. They've clearly brought people in. Uh, the villagers are still there. They haven't torn anything down, but they've built up the palisade walls outside to strengthen that. They've put some controlling fortifications around on the bridge, but they've also, you can see, Roman imperial style building project going on for the fortress there. And it's a mixed group of laborers, clearly drawn. One of the things you know about the Quranic Duchy, I mean, it is a multi ancestry group of people. The centaurs just hold the power and the noble blood and so on. And you will be greeted with formality when you arrive. There will be a couple of centaurs and humans. They are in their armor, and there is what's clearly a centaur council there with his rod of office. You think he might be, a lictor or something of that sort, and he will greet you with formalities, and he will welcome you with an official declaration of hospitality to you and yours, and he will say, we have set up a encampment outside of town. There's so much work going on in the town itself, so much noise, so much bustle, and so on, and it is not a very large city, so we endeavor to provide you with the best hospitality if you will follow us.
It is a tremendous kindness, your consideration, and we are happy to follow you to this encampment.
And you'll be taken to what is clearly, for effect, a large army encampment with a beautiful, large, fancy tent, with a beautiful, large guest tent provided for you, where they will take you there and say that your retinue may stay here. We'll take care of any animals. Food has been brought. All the courtesies are laid out to show you just how much they have. Bread, wine, water, all of those kinds of things are laid out. And the lictor will say, I know that you are likely in a hurry, given that perhaps do not wish to spend so much time overland above the mountains. So after you've changed and had a brief respite, we will take you to meet with the general.
Thank you very much. Yes, to business as quickly as possible. I'm sure will be best for us all.
And it's fast. Once you get things set, within an hour, you're taken to the larger tent. There is a table that has been set up. It is 2-level. One level of the table, sort of the further end, has clearly been set to your height and your sort of chairs and things like that. The other end is more to the centaurs and humans in kind of standing desk kind of thing. So there is a little bit of that kind of positioning there. And you will see. Yes.
Dawson will have relaxed and dressed for dinner by removing his outer pair of gloves and loudly being talked out of carrying the umbrella everywhere we're going inside. Otherwise, it's the same over-the-top getup. He can't see very well through the sunglasses inside.
And the four of you will be brought in, and you will see a big centaur, Clydesdale body, great muscles, well defined. There is a picture of General Young Kalish in the NPC tab, just to illustrate what I mean here. And
Hello, General.
And when you come in, he will greet you, and he will say, "Food is being brought. We have provided a mix of goods drawn from across our empire. I hope that much of this will be to your taste."
Thank you very kindly. We have brought a cask of our finest beer to offer as a part of our own contribution to this meeting.
Ah, that's reasonable. That is reasonable. Do you wish us to tap it now?
Please feel free.
And they will take it and they will tap it, and you can see the tester that they have there take a good long draught, and food is brought. They clearly have chefs that they bring on campaign. There's an abundance of meats. There's all kinds of sauces. There's a lot of sauces here. Many of them fish sauces and things. Very, very strong, pungent food. A lot of things made with grapes. Both dried grapes and regular grapes. If you don't like the flavor of raisins, is a predominant. Raisins and dates and things is a strong flavoring here.
So is he like wearing the weird sword crest and battle bracelets?
He probably has a battle bracelets on, but he probably has a cloak on otherwise.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, that's his running cloak when he's charging. The charging cloak. Looks like wings behind him.
I have marked my heirloom gear, so I am in the full finery of a well-appointed dwarf with my jewelry and the fine fabrics and all of that.
So we know that Grunheld has to kind of close the deal, but you four, all four of you, are present and trying to give an accounting of yourselves. So I'm going to need, before we kind of move forward, Dazin, Tolan, or Dagriel to make their social check to kind of see what role and atmosphere you present here. Who wishes to do that first roll?
So this would be like certainly I have studied what, essentially negotiations with the centaurs are likely to be like, and the social mores and all of those things. So is that the sort of role that I would make?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
To be polite, to impress, to tell stories, to demonstrate knowledge of their culture, all of those kinds of things.
Sure, I could do that then. So that's 3d6. Who knows? Maybe I can even roll decently. Oh, I got a 4, so I'm glad to get that at least. I mean,
so I do think that there is a bit there, and you're pretty pleased with yourself. And then you go on a little too long, and there is a sharp intake of breaths from some of the centaurs, and you realize that you have mentioned a rebellious line of the Centaur Imperial House with, you were very praising and effusive about them, and you realize that you've kind of misspoken. There are a lot of names, and you've gotten these backwards, and you've caused a little bit of insult there.
Can I resist that?
Yes, you may.
All right, so this is in insight, so that's a 2d6 to resolve. So this could be where I lose the last of my stress.
Look at
6 and a
you.
5.
Wow.
I like
Keep
start
it.
to say the wrong name, and then I go those those fools, and I go, of course, none of this, and then I go on. But yeah, there's that sort of thing where they think I've mistaken them for one of the big families. I realize it immediately. I could see the text in one of my books, and I go, oh, wrong place. It's that visual reminder. Okay.
He says, all right. He says, this will not be settled in a day, obviously. But Perceps, Thane Grunheld, you will present. It is the matter that you have brought to us. And then that will be in my mind. And then tomorrow, we might engage in some sports, perhaps more negotiations. Again, I do not want to detain you for too long, but needs must for diplomacy that we do not rush through these things.
Of course. Contemplation is very important in such weighty matters.
All right. Grunheld, I think this is you really setting the stage here. And I think this is a host role.
Good.
For this, but I do think closing the deal is probably going to be convinced for you.
Okay.
But
since I brought my heirloom gear, where are we at in position?
right now we are risky standard.
Oh, play it safe or go for a better. I'm going for the better result. I think
Okay.
can I push up from standard?
Yeah.
All right. Anybody feel like helping?
I got
I
one shot.
can
If you want
help.
it for this one or for the convince at the end, I have a set of old letters that go, here's a template for making deals with the centaurs. This is what they expect typically, and the language.
Tolan, were you jumping in there?
I think I hope, and it's mostly by just making conversation and like praising and showing interest in all of these crops that they've combined, because like, hey, I can this is something I know about, so I'm going to genuinely be, and also emphasize how impressed I am by it.
All right. I'm rolling. God, what a terrible roll. I got a 5.
So 5. I think that you do get your standard result. I think he nods. He's pleased. He's willing to continue on, and he's generally not going to be aggressive. I think what this is you temporarily setting the relationship from a -1 to just a 0.
Oh, good.
Does that make sense? Like, does that seem like a fair
Absolutely.
way to read that? And so things will be good that evening. The next day. Yes.
And we can't go into town at all to like visit anyone?
You can if you wish. Though they will probably see that, and they might, depending on what happens, the potential for them to perceive that as something
Spying or something.
untoward.
Okay. Oh, I just wanted to take Fishbanina's play to her dad. That's all. Maybe I can do that later.
the next day in the morning, the general is up early, and he will come, and he will say, we generally exercise, play at sport, do contests of prowess in the mornings to uh, uh, you know fill the lungs with the air of the outside world, and he will look at you, Tolan. You are kind of the most strapping of the four of you in some ways, and he will say, "Is it Lord Tolan, Master Tolan, Mistress Tolan? How should I just
Master
address
Tolan
you?"
is what most people, if they feel the need for an honorific.
Yeah, you will come with us,
Of course, of course.
and you can tell that he is essentially trying to size you up through sort of physical games and sports and exercise here.
Mhm.
So how do you want to play this?
I think I start out like trying to think of like, oh, okay, so but what would be the like diplomatic way to do this? And I think 2 minutes into it, I completely forget about that, and I'm just like trying to win.
I like it.
Awesome.
Let's have you roll.
Yeah, what am I rolling? Let's see.
Is it like a resistance roll in some ways, Lowell? Is it
No, this is
or
more
is
of a
it-
success.
okay, it's a
Okay,
success thing.
okay.
We kind of know what the potential costs are.
So it's sort of like a cross-country running skirmish kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I
contest?
think I'll let you play this however you want to play that.
Can use Journey
Okay.
for that.
Journey. Could be Journey. Could be Scout. Quick, intuitive, and physical, or could be Skirmish. I think I'm going for quick, intuitive, and physical. I particularly in the part where I'm not like there's not a whole lot of thought involved. Let's put it that way. It's more just
I
like
think
instinctive.
that's perfect. Let's have you roll.
4.
4. So I think that, how do I put this? They neither are able to laugh at you, but you also don't really impress.
Mhm.
Live up to like they were hoping to push and to yeah. You could tell that this is a very much a value in their culture, that sort of physicality and exercising, and because they all run into the river afterwards and strip down, and
Right. Okay.
that kind of thing. Would you like to resist that? Maybe try and actually impress?
Yeah, I think I resist that because by challenging them to a race swimming across the river, because it's everybody knows dwarves can't swim.
Okay. I like that quite a bit.
I want to surprise them, but yeah. So this would be prowess and 5.
5. So just one stress. Yeah, I think that is the thing that maybe they haven't. They've kind of made their decision up. And then at the end, when they all head for the river, it's when you do the swimming and you jump in, and there are loud cheers and hurrahs, and they will, rush in, and everyone swim across against this current, and you may even have to pull one of them up out of the water that kind of wasn't ready for it. And
shouldn't swim in armor.
Yeah.
Bad idea.
Yeah,
it was a person who was slow to strip down and wear armor.
Yeah, they kept a little bit on and they didn't realize that. Yeah, so I think there is a great bit slapping of backs and cheering and all of that, and sitting down, and wineskins are passed around, even though it isn't even breakfast time yet. But they clearly do that, and I think that you will make a favorable impression.
You guys know how to
Dawson,
party like dwarves.
yeah, I think that the rest of you are kind of engaged in that. Uh, uh, what goes on? When Dawson, you are kind of hidden away in your tent, and uh, you will hear a voice say, "So, are you like a leper dwarf?"
What?
And you will see this dwarven woman who kind of got her arms crossed, and she's staring at you in the dress that you have on. Like,
No, I just
what's with all of this? Oh, are you an albino? They don't look albino.
no. I'm just not willing to risk the dangers of something unknown like the sun and weather.
The sun.
Have you seen lightning? It's horrible.
Boy, you really don't get out much, do you?
No. There's went out once a couple years ago and there was snow, and I vowed never to go out in that month again.
And you're the rune guy amongst this crew?
What, you need clouds to draw runes?
No, but I'm used to rune people being more together and confident and
I am incredibly confident and together and normal.
I have never met anyone in all my days who has called themselves out loud normal, who has been normal.
It's all this air. You have air sickness.
Did something happen to you?
You know, people don't ask me this many questions when I have my clay body.
Oh, you have an effigy you use.
Oh, yes, it's usually, but it's, in the shop right now.
In the shop. I don't usually use my effigy for simple travel.
I would not call this sort of dense, horrifying jungle under hurricane conditions simple travel.
She looks outside at the sort of the very flat steps. She goes, where did you come from that you would have gone through a jungle?
What? Look, it's all around us. It's practically growing over the tents while we're sitting here.
Again, I ask, did something happen to you?
Well, no.
You just are this way.
We killed a giant monkey.
On the way here?
Well, no,
because that's how you're talking about a jungle?
It was last year. It was in a cave. Obviously, it was a cave monkey.
Like a crag bear?
What? No, nothing like that. What's a crag bear?
A crag bear is a bear. It kind of looks like a monkey. It hangs from the ceiling in caves, grabs on with its feet, and then swings down and bites heads off.
This was a monkey that looked more like a squirrel and had 1,000 little babies that really liked distilled liquor.
So you killed a monkey that looked like a squirrel and 1,000 babies.
We got killed dozens of babies, maybe. They weren't babies.
You're the one who said babies.
Well, I meant, is there something that you want?
No, I just heard that there was a rune mage amongst the company here, and I thought, being a rune mage myself in the employ of the duchy, that I would come and size you up. And now I have.
Wait, you live out here?
Yes.
Why?
Because I like it.
Well, that can't be it.
Ah, you figured me out. That is certainly not it.
Ha ha! Been doing poorly at riddles recently, but I've cracked this one.
You have me. Yes, absolutely.
Well, if they have something over you, or if you feel like you're in danger, if you need to give me a subtle signal, we can work something out. We can get you safely underground again.
I don't think that will be necessary, but your sentiment is noted.
Ah, yes, yes, you have your own plan working. I wouldn't want to step on your agency.
Well, I think that's the long and tall of it then, isn't it?
Well, is it?
I think so. And she will bow to you. My name is Karoka.
No, dozen Runejaw.
Ah. And you'd say, like, she only gives you a first name. She does not give a family name when she does that, which is a little unusual. She says, "Well, good luck with
Dozen
the."
gives the Runejaw name and like has the sort of pause of like, oh, are you going to be impressed? And then she's not.
Right.
Oh, 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 all right. Yes. No.
No, what? What?
What?
Was there some? You act like there's something I was supposed to say to you.
No. 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 Not if there wasn't anything you were going to say.
All right then. Uh, I'll see. We would make a sunburn ointment amongst the apothecaries. Perhaps you'd like some of that, just in case.
Oh, thank you. You can never have too much.
And she will leave the tent.
What a strange woman.
She walks out. What a strange man. Let's take our second break. Take 5. Quick bio, and then we're going to come back for kind of like the convince role here. So there's another a day, dinner, some talks about things, some exchange of information. The lictor comes and speaks with Dagriel about exchanges of some concordances and things like that. Just kind of to exchange information and offers that if you wish to send a scholar here to interview or speak with the people here, the librarians and so on, they would be glad to do an exchange at some point in the future. There is no mention of it, but you have the suspicion that they are aware that our friend, the centaur, is present, an accent is present amongst your number, but that name is never mentioned. You're muted. You are muted.
and we never mention them either. But we do, I think that, they put, Jagria sort of stops and says, we have a whole set of histories of the lands, and she sort of speaks of like where the older lands that like where they came from, which are beyond where you have held sway. If you would be interested in those, because we also have been working on more local lore here, but it is a work in progress. We would happily work with your scholars to expand that amount.
I suspect that what we could provide to you would be codices of our law books, that sort
Always
of thing.
useful.
That'd be useful. So we will make that arrangement. Perhaps if things settle out well here in the fall, I will send someone. I understand you have a traveler's inn, can make those arrangements.
Yeah, and just stop and say, I think there's that thing of they wait for that moment and they go, there is a dragon in the mountain. It was summoned by the gnomes, but we are not sure of its purpose. So that is a issue. It may be easier to send word before you come up if you are going to send folks who do not know the trail. And I essentially there's a set of, like travelers or traders who do come back and forth.
You get the distinct impression that he is aware of the dragon and he actually knows some things about the dragon.
Really?
Do you want to try and draw some information out of him?
Yes, I do. I absolutely do. Let's see here. I would give him, let's see here, convince, I suppose.
That seems like the right one to do.
Yeah, and let's see here. Let's see. I think I got something. I'm supposedly a scholar, so I should have something that would be of value. Here we go. Some of the, how about a map? Essentially that goes into some of the areas here that's particularly, so I will put that forward. And does it give me, that's a 2-pointer, so,
Yeah, but it'll give you an extra die.
I think 2 points is if you have all of those things, isn't
Right.
it? And 1 point if you have one of them. But yeah, I'll take an extra die. So 3d6. And all I have to do is, again, find my roll with me. Okay, 3d6. Come on, Sherry, roll it decently. 5s.
The thing he says to you is, and he kind of lets this slip in the course of things here. He says, we won't have to worry about the dragon for 3 years. And then he kind of pauses and he kind of realizes, he says, please don't ask me how I know that.
This is what everyone says when they're talking about that damn dragon. And that's all that I say.
Now, hypothetically, if you had a brother.
Oh, you've caught me out. Now I must answer you.
Maybe you won't tell him that hilarious story about my friend Talon trying to work around that that whole thing.
The third day, the general sits you down, Gernheld, and you get down to brass tacks. Let's have you roll convince.
I think as we come in and begin our conversation, I will bring out a box. I do wish it did not seem appropriate the first day, but a small gift of our appreciation for you being willing to have this conversation and taking our concerns so very seriously. It is a cloak pin, small fine gift is what I'm giving.
Okay.
A cloak pin made with one of our gems, and I've gotten the our newest clan to do an etching for the setting, so it's all fancy etched up.
Can I assist? I imagine that I have a collection of old letters that has a thing of some past deals with the dwarves that you might call upon in a legal manner, so to speak. Provided, when we
Nice.
talk about that thing, would that be acceptable to give you another die?
Well, I think you can only get one die. In the way I've been playing, it's only one
Oh,
die from
okay.
supply. But if you
Okay.
want to use that as fictional positioning and mark a stress, you can give them an extra die.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
what I
where's
would
our
be doing.
positioning starting?
Yeah, that was it. It was fictional positioning.
Right
so-
now you're at standard risky because you kind of set that positioning to that from the previous
Okay.
roll.
Why don't we?
So that'll be, whatever you want to do with the first one, plus an extra die from Dagriel.
Let's shift up the standard to a better result.
Okay.
And a die from you, and can I still push myself?
I believe so, yeah. You just have to mark 2
Or
stress.
get a devil's bargain.
I'll push myself.
Okay.
I'm so adverse to devil's bargains. I never call for them. I'm so terrible about that. Patrick, you're so good at it, and I'm so fearful.
Because I'm usually
all right.
stressed out and I don't want to spend my own.
All right. So, going with convince. Got 2 extra die. Come on, baby.
6.
I got a 6.
There's a lot of talk, and he says, here is what we're going to offer to you. We are going to establish and control the trade on this bridge. But these are lands that are titled to us from past arrangements that we are only now calling into care. So we can understand why that might be perceived as a problem. We are going to do this. We are going to control the trade. And we're not going to do that without providing something in return. We understand that there is a responsibility if we are setting up to control this bridge and to control this trade, that it is our responsibility to safeguard caravans along the routes from here to both dwarven strongholds and various spurs in other directions. So we are going to control those, but we are also going to provide security. If you wish to be on board with this, you will provide us yearly 1 treasure or 1 unit of iron.
I see. Yeah. It is understandable that if you're taking on the financial responsibility of securing trade routes, that there is recompense for what you're doing. We presume, well, you say control trade. This means controlling the access of the routes. We would think that
If you
our
are
trade will
our
be
allies,
unmolested.
your trade will not be interdicted, molested, unless we have reason to believe that the trade is being used offensively against us. I mean, but those circumstances are off the table. But
Very,
you understand
very
what I mean?
reasonable.
Is
I got
this
a feeling
agreeable?
this is the best. Have I got a feeling this is the best I'm getting? Yeah. I believe this seems to be a proper exchange. For when we use your routes, it is proper and fair that you receive compensation.
Good. I am glad that you did not haggle too much. It is not my particular sphere of interest. I think we have established some mutual grounds here for discussion. You may shift this from -1 to 0.
Ooh.
That is the other benefit that you're getting that I didn't want to say until you made that choice. This is okay.
Right.
Good. We're all set then. Do you need an escort back?
I do not believe so. I think we are properly.
I could provide a carriage. I understand that one member of your company is ill. My rune mage told me that your dwarven rune mage was sickened by the travel and may require assistance returning back home.
Your generosity would be greatly welcomed. Indeed, our rune mage often finds such travel to be discombobulated to his constitution.
I will have a darkened and cushioned carriage provided.
Thank you. Your generosity will be remembered.
And you will come away. I mean, you're paying a little bit of cost, but you have fixed that relationship from antagonistic to neutral. And they've agreed to provide security, which means that, like, if the necromancer gnomes were to become a problem, that they they have committed themselves to protecting your caravans in those cases.
Yeah. And it gives us time if we want to look for alternative routes, and we're still going to make our money.
Mm-hmm.
We're down to one hostile faction. One very hostile faction, but still.
Could I, though, get through to visit Fishbane to assure him about Fishbanina?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
This particular interaction has gone on positively enough that if you ask about traveling across into that village, they will the lictor will provide transport for you and accompany you so that you can speak and have that happen.
Okay.
And there is a small, darkened, Bram Stoker-like carriage that is provided for you, Dazin, when you go to leave.
That's just ridiculous. This is entirely over the top. Oh, have you seen how dark it gets when you close the door?
Ooh, velvety.
It's cushioned as well.
So I think, Dawson, you have a remarkably relaxing trip back.
That's just
Horrible
encouraging him to be his worst self.
That horrible woman in her incredibly comfortable and secure coach.
And so all of you return back home successful. I think that you will receive sort of gifts in exchange as you've given gifts worth a treasure. Just to kind of seed the thing. And I think another point of reputation as well. I'm assuming that you do not wish to do a second expedition this year.
Yeah.
Oh no, yeah, this went well. Let's not push the luck.
Then let's move to the settlement phase. Are there any buildings that need to be activated? but that for non-trade purposes. Anything?
We don't need to do any injuries, right?
That's correct.
Okay, that's good.
My guild is still hurt. I
Oh,
could
oh.
use
Well, we did
That's
the
right.
beer bread this year, didn't we?
yes, but I think it in particular is it just becomes a supply for a founder. The bakery gives you can add a chance to use in supply the bread.
Okay.
Yeah, which can be used to heal 1 injury.
Well, why don't we just do the infirmary?
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
it
simple.
I'm
can't
out
be
of
used for
supply.
anything else. Yeah, just use it.
I didn't realize you were out of supply.
Yeah, I'd have to spend to get me
Oh,
more
I have-
supply.
Gotcha.
I have like all 3 supply left if we wanted to do that.
Well, might as well use the infirmary. You can't do anything
Yeah.
else.
Let's do you guys want to talk downtime tonight?
Sure.
Sure,
Yeah.
if you got
Okay.
time.
Okay. So let's do downtime. We were starting with Grunheld. Grunheld, what do you want to do for your first downtime action?
I want. Oh, I even had stuff up. What do we have
I
active?
actually have to roll back. I apologize.
Yeah.
I apologize. Let's talk about the ancestor spirit.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, yes.
Let's talk about that. There will be a thing set up by Emberstone. He's clearly been working on some tools and practices and things like that, and he will get that set up in the temple with his people. And then as the sort of the mid-year occurs, he will settle himself in and draws down the spirit of that ancestor into himself, and essentially offers up his body to him, and the ancestor, it has 3 days that it will stay here. It can't leave the temple, but it asks to be brought food and beer and all of the usual things, and but will answer questions. So this is essentially kind of a gather information roll from each of you for a thing you want to know about that it can answer, and that's made at an additional +1 die to your roll. So Grunheld, what is it that you want to learn from this ancestor?
We have encountered this spirit of fury and anger that had taken possession in the lower areas of the home. Was this what drove our people from the mountain?
Let's have you roll.
Okay. Let's see. Would this be
Study or convince? I think
I'd
are the
rather do
two
convince.
choices. Okay.
I'll go with convince. All right. Rolling. I got a 6 and a 1.
I have seen something of this, but I passed generations before Carrick Minor fell. But I know that it was a major part of what occurred. House Balak That is the name of the house which practiced these arts. In my day, they were just beginning this and just beginning their ascent. I know that not all of House Balak perished. Some traveled out to other settlements under other names. Be wary.
Thank you, Spirit, for your wisdom.
Tolan, what do you want to learn about from this spirit? And it can also be abstract, like if you want to just kind of learn techniques or history or things like that to like get an XP, that's also a possibility.
Okay, Tyler, I was going to ask basically the question that Tyler asked. So, could you come back to me?
Sure, absolutely. Dagriel.
I asked in his day, what was the great pride of Mount Carrick? Which and where was it? Essentially, we have the gem, we have the lava-filled thing, we have these other tons, but I want to know, like, is there something else that we should be seeking or going further for? I say so much was lost.
Let's have you roll.
Okay, so this is a study, I suppose.
Study or convince with an extra die.
Wait, convince with an extra die or just straight study? Is that what
Study
you're saying?
or convince, each with an extra die.
Okay, so that's 46 with study. Fours, 3 fours. I mean, at that point, it's like practically a 6.
The crystal and the spheres that are here in the upper chambers are only half of it. The real device, the real workings are in the lowest chambers. The lowest floors and deep in, you will find it.
Okay.
But that is a quest you must undertake yourself. You may find help in doing that. He's like so enigmatic. You kind of get that, you like that dwarven enigmatic that they kind of.
And he's like really, really set on being enigmatic. Like that's
Yes.
his job as an
Right.
ancestor spirit. Is
You
to
think that
be-
somebody mentioned that you were a scholar?
Yeah.
And like he set his mind to it.
Okay.
Dawson, do you go and have an audience with this spirit that your rival has called up?
I will not insult the spirits of our ancestors just because Emberstone was lucky enough that this time the ritual didn't go horribly and explode in their face like it almost certainly was going to.
So what do you want to learn from this ancestor?
So I think for working on the effigy ritual, I have the moon milk in there that I mixed with the clay from the mountain, but I feel like I need like another special ingredient to do the next step and hopefully finish it off. And we've had some hints that the dwarves that lived here before they're in their connection with the mountain spirit, connected through like the water of the mountain a lot more than does. So does he have some suggestion for something that would help me connect with the water aspects of the mountain spirit in this working?
Let's have you roll.
Craft, maybe? Some looking for material stuff?
Yeah, I'll give you that.
You said a +1.
Yeah.
I'm gonna push for that as well. Oh geez, that's a crit.
Since down deep below, there is a passageway to the rivers of transit. It is the means by which some travel the great sluicing underground rivers that run across the land. They cannot be used for trade or for warfare, but they can transit with the right connections to the spirits, can transit you to many different places.
Oh.
And down there, close by, in one of the depths, is a cavern where there is a well. And that well has water that is drawn from the water of souls, where all but the dwarves descend into. We go deeper, but that water is potent and powerful.
Wow. I think even with everything Dawson went into this very skeptical of Emberstone and the everything, but that's a lot of cool shit.
Since other peoples know more about these things, about the transit on the water, so it may be worth speaking to others who know magic. And I think that you actually recall that actually the human sorcerers mentioned that transit network briefly in passing when they were here.
Thank you, Ancestor. This has been more enlightening than I could have hoped for.
It is the strength of my line that provides this to you.
I snicker in the background.
Emberstone blood has rung true at points throughout the generations.
And Tolan, we come back to you.
Yeah. Trying to think of how to word it. Basically, after that admonishment about House Bellic, I'm possibly going to annoy the spirit by asking more about, like, I want to know how to do what they did, but more more working with the spirits as opposed to summoning them into giant monkeys, like, if that makes sense. I want to be on a slightly more friendly basis with the spirits, but I do want to be able to contact.
I think this may be a thing that maybe he doesn't know. I mean, because that's a completely different house.
Right.
And Balak wasn't dedicated to they were dedicated to doing this kind of binding.
Right. Yeah.
But let's have you roll.
Okay. Is this actually? I think this is This might be stone speak.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that's probably the closest. 3.
He says, I do not know what to tell you, but I can tell you, though I do not think it is a good idea, or you can find out more about House Balak. wish me
I
to
promise
tell
I will
you?
be cautious. Yes, I absolutely want to know.
There is a set of runes 2 days outside of the mountain, old dwarven runes. That is where House Balak held some of their rituals outside of the mountain.
And out of character, this is totally where the dragon is, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
And other people come and ask about their own ancestors and who they know were here and so on. And it is 3 days, and at the end of the 3 days, Emberjaw, the spirit leaves him, and Emberjaw collapses, and he is essentially exhausted for another week. You're muted.
The scholars treat him very well, though he's faded, and they bring him many gifts, and they tell him all of the things that his ancestor told us.
He revels in the gifts. When Dawson comes by, he's like, "Oh, look what scholars gave me."
Yeah, and seems like it would take up a lot of space.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, you have to build a whole new shelf for that.
Well, one of the scholars promised me they would build me a new set of bookshelves.
That's it. Seems like they should be doing things with books rather than shelves.
And yet,
I bet it'll look tacky.
he says, "Would you like some sour? Grapes?" Let's do downtime activities. Bernheld, what do you want for your first downtime activity?
Do we have an explorer that hasn't finished yet? I can't remember what we have active right now.
Let's see.
We have an exploration going on depth 3.
I also realized I have been cheating tonight.
Oh.
I can't get to a 4 in a stat. We have to discover a thing and be allowed to learn a 4.
I was wondering about
do you
that.
have
That's
a-
right.
Yeah,
So
I
go ahead
found
and
it when I
shoot
was
that,
looking
yeah.
through buildings, and it
Yeah.
takes the Arc of Mastery. So I'm a dirty, dirty cheater, and
Yeah.
I am sorry for it.
I had forgotten that. I saw that and I was like, I thought there was that, but yeah, no, that's cool.
I discovered it in here.
It's such an obscure mechanic. It's good to to know that.
So I've shifted that dot up to convince and drop my host.
Okay.
I believe I put it to convince. Either that or command, but whatever. I think I'll finish or work on. Well, no, hell, let's indulge first. I need to get rid of some stress.
Absolutely. What do we see this time?
I think this time, while we got, bits of treasure from our interaction with the centaurs, there was a prime piece of that never quite made it back into the general set. And it instead has, I will have brought it back to my hidden closet of treasuries. And I think for the first time we see me go in, put it up, and then kind of sit there in the room, just enjoying looking at them as Fidget, my Drake, is on my shoulder, and I'm sort of pointing, see how lovely that one's very nice. But the sort of creepy enjoying the horde feel.
The lighting
Okay.
shifts kind of thing. Yeah, I see. I like it.
Mhm.
So 2 dice.
2 dice. I got a 4.
That's not bad. Tolan.
Yeah, I have very little stress left, so I should probably.
Yeah. What is your indulgence look like?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to describe my indulgence without being like, okay, but this is, and then my next step is a long-term project doing exactly the same thing. But I think
Is it you, like, even though now people know that you shouldn't be investigating House Balak, it's you going and looking all those things up and finding all those things.
Yeah, it totally is. Like, that's the secret part, is that, like, oh, we keep hearing all these terrible things about these people and what they did, and I am going to try to find a way to do it right.
No danger there. All right.
No.
Let's have you roll 2 dice.
Yeah.
3 and a 4. Good. Wasn't snake eyes this time like it was for you last time.
Right, yeah.
Daggeril.
Yeah, I too need to get rid of some stress. I do have a new thing called when engaging in my obsession, I roll twice and take the better result. It's professional skill. Just because so many of my rolls for that were so very bad.
Okay.
And so my obsession is essentially wandering, I believe.
Yeah.
Is that right? So yeah, I think I will come back and Fish Benita's in there, and I will tell her that I gave her play to her father and all of those things. And I can see that she's a little bit homesick. But also I kind of am feeling sort of, I don't know, boxed in, and I'm like, hey, let's go explore. Show me where you've been. But only the places that are big enough for me to follow you through, okay? And I kind of indulge her, but also myself, if that makes any sense.
So roll 2d6 twice.
Okay. Let's see here. 2d6. Oh, yeah. Thank goodness I have a second roll.
Sherry.
So
And
5.
I got 5. That's not bad.
You chose the right talent to
I
take.
know what my dice. Right? Wow.
Damage mitigation.
Exactly. Got to spend points on it, build points on damage mitigation. Armor against dice.
Gazin.
I think I'm gonna be entirely original and try and get rid of some stress.
Ooh.
I know, no one else thought of that. I'm just clever like that.
And yours?
It is wandering as well, but I think since I had that message from the spirit about these things underground, like, I think I'm going all the way down to depth 4 where we barely explored, and I'm trying to, follow hints from a ghost to find an underground river network and a particular well somewhere near there.
Let's have you roll.
I'm gonna go ahead and mark some spelunking gear, even though this is a ridiculous list of spelunking gear. Whatever.
2d6.
Yes. Oh, no, I don't get all your dice, just some of your dice. A 4.
So 4. That's not bad. Grunheld. What would you like for your second downtime action?
I think it's going to be trying to work on that explore. We should get that done.
Absolutely. What are you doing to rolling to do that? Dig, scout.
Yeah, I guess it'll be scout.
Okay.
I'm so bad at this. Such a waste when I do it. But I will do all the same. Alrighty. Roll good. 3.
Great. So you'll get one more tick on the clock unless you want to spend a treasure to boost it up and finish it.
We're better off having it spent on someone who could roll better than me.
Okay.
I should
So
just build
we're
some.
at 2 out of 3. Tolan, what would you like to do for your second downtime action?
I'll go ahead and try to finish that explore.
If you go to do it, you do it because there's only one tick left on it.
Oh, okay then.
I'm both hearing it outside and through my headphones. Like, so it is wild to me what I'm hearing. So that was on level 3
Yeah.
on that unexplored. Okay. So let me find my oracles for this. Okay. So would you roll me a d6?
Did that roll? I don't think that rolled.
3.
Looks like a
I
3.
told
Did it
him.
roll? Oh, it did roll. Okay, right, because that was right.
And then
It
roll
did roll,
me
it was 3.
a second d6.
Okay. I was looking at it. I saw a 3, and then I saw a 3 when I looked back, and another 3.
3. So 3 plus 3 is 6. So that is uncommon. I don't think we've found a silver vein yet, have we?
I don't think
No.
so.
So let's make this a silver vein.
Lovely.
And let me go back up. I have to check something.
And I'm right. We found some of these moles. We still haven't found their nest. We have to explore and find a nest for them, right?
It needs
Still.
a long-term project to do that. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
there's
cool.
Stables. There's a
Yeah.
stables that lets us have like riding animals.
But do we have to find the nest first?
Yeah, I think you need to, I would do that as a project
Okay.
to find the nest, and then we can do that. And you are this is you are rebuild the lost metropolis. No, reclaim the lost fortress. Oh no,
The metropolis one.
you're the metropolis, right? So and 2. So when you go down there and do this, Tolan, in this area, you will find a building there in horrible disrepair. Why is it damaged? And does it provide any clues to why the metropolis fell?
I mean, okay, so why is it damaged? It's weird this far down to have made anything of wood. but they did,
Oh, interesting.
and it's burned. There's like scorch marks, and like a lot of the supports are burned most of the way through. And like, why would you haul wood all the way down here when there's perfectly good rock? I don't know, but someone did. And at some point it caught fire. And clues to why, I mean, yeah, there's got to be something.
May I suggest that you see that the marks of House Balak here, the sigil that you've seen before,
Mhm.
and maybe perhaps some papers and things that you tuck away in your pockets after locating this.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Papers? Oh, sorry.
So that's completed, and that's the discovery. So we've got the first three things on the discovery list for the settlement have been completed. So now it's on to tier 2 for those. Let's come back then to Dogriel. What do you want for your second downtime action?
So we need more settlement space. So I think it's time to make another settlement quarter.
Okay.
Okay. And the place that seems like the best is the winding tunnels, because essentially that's, we got a set of these tunnels that are already set here. And this is a time-honored thing of a sort of warren of these, essentially there'll be houses until we build deeper, and then they'll become like work buildings or workplaces and stuff like that is essentially what
Sure.
this is. So this is kind of a time-honored thing. So I want to start work on a settlement quarter. I don't know
So-
what that requires.
You're at depth 3,
2.
depth 2, plus it's level 1 building, so you need a 3-tick clock.
Okay. All right. So 3 ticks.
What are you using to do that, to build that settlement quarter there?
I think that I am actually going to use study, and essentially we have all kinds of data on like different ways to build useful housing and stuff in these higher levels, and essentially with that idea of planning it, so it's like places where you build a room and it has a connection to another, but it doesn't mean that you've put that in, but then you block it back up so that we can break that wall down when the time is to use the space differently.
Absolutely.
So it's very much a kind of modular cavern carving kind of thing that's going on. And we kind of do a whole bunch of like pre-building. That's the whole thing of people having taken the things, the lots to get those places, and then them planning what layout they need and things like that. And all of us pitching in and building is the idea behind it. So I will use study. So
Yeah.
that's 3 dice, 2 dice, 3
Yep.
dice, 3 dice. So 3d6. Can I use something from my supply for that? Because it goes away, right?
Yep.
So I think I have some like digging gear and things like that. Would that give me another die?
Sure.
All right. Because I have bad dice, so we're gonna
You
see
do.
if this helps. I do. I got a 5, so that's 2.
2 ticks out of 3.
Mhm.
Dawson, what would you like to do for your second downtime action?
I am going to continue with my wandering. I think I found signs of some of those like underground waterways, but I haven't found that well that he was talking about.
Okay. So is this indulging your...
Yes.
Okay. Let's have you roll 2 dice.
Mechanically speaking, I still have more stress than I want.
So you clear...
That is a 4.
Oh,
That's an overindulge.
that is an overindulgence. Let's see. Since we haven't had that occur yet, let's
see.
So you have choices. You could attract trouble by we roll another outsider entanglement for next year. You wander off. You create shame for yourself. Or you mark a segment in the mountain entanglement clock.
Well, the mountain entanglement track is very dire right now,
Yes.
and I think Dawson already does more than enough to bring shame to his family's name all by himself. Wandering off, while hilarious, I don't want to come up with another character.
Do a quick character.
We're gonna roll an extra outsider entanglement.
Okay.
We're gonna attract trouble.
Absolutely. I will make a note of that. So we're going to have 2 outsider and 1 mountain entanglement for the next year.
But I do think I finally find the location of that well, so I can come back later and do more with it. So, or is it more hidden than that?
I think that's a long-term project. You want to actually use it for the processes of this, but I think that's you're on the road. I think that part of what you realize is you need to talk to the sorcerers to get a sense of exactly what you're looking for. Does anyone want to spend?
Yes, use the treasure. Yes, I would like to finish the settlement quarter.
Okay.
I think, unless someone else has a good thing for it. That was just if I could. Unless you have something
and I'll
gonna-
point out, if anybody wants to push it, we can add a tick to the mountain entanglements track instead of spending treasure to get another.
I was going to point to saying we do have the opportunity to with a 1 point we could drop the mountain entanglement by 1, or we had another thing that we're able to do with another activity that's just, we could pick up 2 more reputation on the idea, Sherry, that we won't need that settlement before another year passes.
Okay, that's fine.
Would you rather? Yeah, and it's entirely because I see your point to it. But
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, if there's something that'll serve us better in the meantime, that's awesome.
We could push that reputation up, and then that's gonna end up doubling basically when we do finish that settlement, because we gain 2 and we reduce our cost by 2 when the settlement's finished. So they're kind of a trade-off. If you want to finish the settlement, we can kind of do that, and that's at least a bill done.
It also means
and you
that
can put your name on something.
Yeah. Well, it also means that build action is done and doesn't face whoever kind of starts out the next year.
Yeah, that makes sense, because a better roll would do more than that one. Yeah, Sherry, I think you're right. Yeah, let's go ahead and click that. The only other thing was if we think the entanglement tracks at a place, it's a big deal. But now let's finish that settlement. That's a good idea.
Okay.
We'll spend that treasure. Next time we'll do experience and the trade rolls, because we're kind of hitting that hour here, and I we'll get that all resolved out. I'm going to make a note of that. Explea and trade. And I get to roll 3 entanglements next time. I'm very excited, especially given how high the tracks are. It's delightful. In fact, actually, I should put the expedition marks up, because I gave you some reputation for the thing. I'll give you 1 on each of the tracks for the engagement. No, actually, let's not push the mountain up anymore. I think just 2 on the outsider is good. I would like to do just a quick stars and wishes. I know we're kind of over time, and I'm a weird stickler for that, but let's do that. Grunheld.
Super cool. This game continues to just keep on giving. It is so much fun. Every little aspect of it seems cool. I mean, I'm just putting huge stars to. I love how the engagement ended up working there. I loved how you did the negotiation for this expedition. That was a ton of fun. it had stakes, and yet at the same time, it was playing in a space where it wasn't like we were physically in danger, but the stakes were still very high, and that's really cool. I loved Dawson and the runesmith from the Centaurs. That was an interesting thing. I love the payoff at the end of, oh, what a strange lady, oh, what a strange guy. I am so shipping them as a couple. But it was fun and interesting, and the commitment you have to Dawson being so literal. Because at first, I was like, how is this character? What is what he's doing with this character about? And it took the realization, Dawson is very literal. There's not a lot of irony. There's not a lot of sarcasm. It is very literal with Dawson. And realizing that makes him seem a little less like an asshole. So big stars there. Wishes. I want to explore more in this mountain. I want to see more stuff in there. We got through a cool expedition and got straight on into stuff, but God, building this mountain it really turns all the keys for me. I love doing it. And learning more of what the dragon is. Everybody seems to know more than we do. I'm looking forward to us figuring out some of what's up with this dragon.
Okay.
And an apology for cheating like a dirty cheater this session.
Tolan.
Stars to Tyler for basically carrying the entire expedition. Awesome, you were very good at that. So that is in no way a complaint. That's very it's really cool to see Grunheld get to do her thing. And also stars to you, Lowell, for dropping hints about oh, everyone knows more than we do about this dragon. Everyone knows more than we do about a lot of things. I always like the hints of further mystery and further directions that we could go, and I was very not on the ball tonight, so I'm actually glad we had a Grunheld centric mission here.
Fair enough. Anything wishes wise?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always interested in exploring and discovering secrets and learning more about the surroundings. So I feel like there are many directions to go that way. So
absolutely,
it's not so much of a wish
your,
as a
your
note
character
to
always
self.
feels that way. I like it.
I know, right?
Dagriel.
Yeah, there was lots of good character work today. It was we had the one expedition, but it was one where everyone was very much 300% themselves in a delightful way, and that is fun to see. The centaurs were not as well, anyway, they're as palatable as imperialists can be, right? So there you go. They make me leery, but I'm glad to hear about this transit stuff underground. And I'm interested why our other dwarven settlements don't have access to it. Does it not extend that far, or what? So
it's more what's involved in using it.
Oh. Well,
we'll come to that.
Okay. All right, that sounds awesome. But yes, looking forward to finding out more about that. I am, there's so much to do here, and there's so much to do outside. It is an awesome world, and I just am filled with delights for the possibilities. Yes, and I'm looking forward to, hopefully most of us are in decent shape, so maybe we can do 2 expeditions next year, and that would be great.
Okay,
Looks like it's gonna be 2 years of singles and then a double year, then back in the grind. So,
that makes sense. And Dawson.
This was a really fun session. I really enjoyed the scene with the three of us going up to see Ringju. I always love visiting him and just playing with the weirdness of the outside of the mountain versus the inside. I also thought like the whole extended scene of the expedition, what everybody chose to bring in at different points to back Tyler up, honestly. But I loved seeing everybody's additions and contributions to that. And lol, the whole like Emberstone thing was just, it was really cool. It was a great entanglement that I like. I definitely wanted to do that ancestor thing. Dawson definitely wanted to do that ancestor thing, but it was all just so horribly bitter. Every step of it was so difficult. Every word of acknowledgement was just like dragged out of the depths of hatred. And it was a great way to bring that rivalry in. So I really appreciate that. Wishes, I think the combination of underground chaotic transport network to different distant strange sites and well of souls, but not like our souls, but like lesser souls, not that we're looking down on them, but our souls are better, but this is a well of those. Those are both super cool, and I want to explore that more.
Okay. Awesome. So I appreciate you saying that, because that does give me a sense of like where we want to do some building. I am going to stop the recording.